Let's go ahead and kick off our Women in Tech series. Today I am with Stephanie Hippo. I'm super excited. She has an awesome job, and as you can see, she might be able to go a little bit of where she is in her office. Thank you so much, Stephanie. I know you kind of know a little bit about the PS Foundation, PS Solutions Foundation, and what we're doing here is trying to spread awareness to get more girls interested in tech. So thank you so much for giving us a little bit of your time. Super excited. So if you would go ahead and kick us off, tell us a little bit about yourself and your role as engineering manager at Google. Very
Hi. Yeah, so I'm an engineering manager in what's called site reliability engineering. So I work on all of the things that help make all of the tools and services that Googlers use work better and break less. So as part of an engineering manager, I work with about 35 people around the world, Munich and LA and Sydney and Seattle, so that we can work together and help keep all of the tools up and running.
Awesome. What's the coolest thing about your job?
Oh, if I had to choose one thing. I really like working on something that impacts so many people at once. I like to help people, and it's just really cool that part of my job every day. There are thousands of people depending on my team and our work and to get things done. And so it's really cool and satisfying to watch all the work that we do, make people happy and help them do their jobs, and so they can help other people.
Right. And I guess since Google is such a large platform, I mean, I'm on Google probably 100 times a day, just even in my personal life for work-wise, I'm quickly looking up Google. What made you want to work for Google? Kind of, if you don't mind, it is such a huge company nationwide, worldwide. So I'm super interested how you landed this.
So I went to college for computer science at Case Western Reserve University in Cleveland, Ohio, and I was really involved in the computer club there. And through that club, I met a lot of people that worked in the industry. And I had a couple of friends that had graduated before me that were even at Google. And so Google would come and recruit on campus. I already loved a lot of Google products and tools. Google Photos is my favorite. And when they were interviewing on campus, I had a friend refer me to the job and started interviewing. Interviewing took a really long time. But in the end, I got an offer to move to Seattle, Washington, Mountain View, California, or New York. And
Wow.
I chose Seattle, and I've been here for 6 years now. So it was all about, going to school and building the network and studying up for the interviews.
Right. Awesome. What were there any particular classes back in college, or even, I don't know if you do any like continuing education courses. Are there any classes or workshops that you remember taking that has either helped you now in your position or really just sparked your interest? You want to learn more about computer science?
Yeah. So I think the important thing about computer science is it's such a big field and there are so many ways to use it. For me, I actually was very interested in the medical side of computing when I was in school. And so I wound up during college working a lot on medical imaging devices. And that was a really fun way for me to apply what I was learning. And it was a really satisfying thing to work on. But the most important classes for that wound up being linear algebra in school, actually. Algorithms and data structures are the fundamentals of computer science. And I remember being in those classes at the time thinking, I'm not sure why I'm learning this. But the part that helped, make it all click and make me more interested was being able to try out what I was learning on things that actually interest me, outside of class. So
Right.
I think it's about as much about the classes as what you do with it, outside of class.
Yeah, it is funny because I also remember sitting there like, when am I ever going to use algebra in my day-to-day life? Isn't it cool being on the other side? Like, oh,
All the time.
Yeah. Crazy. What is one piece of advice you would give to a younger girl, either in middle school, high school, that might be kind of on that bridge of, oh, I might be interested in tech, but I just don't know where to start? Or if there's something that you would give yourself looking 10 years ago, what's one piece that you would tell yourself, basically?
Sure. I would say keep in mind that, tech is a very big space, and try different areas and more than once. Maybe you try your first coding workshop or camp or something and it's not for you. Try a different one.
Mm-hmm.
You might just need to find, which part of tech you find really enjoyable. I took computer science in high school, and I liked it, but I didn't really think about it as a career until I got to college. And part of that was, I was just taking the class. I had been to a couple camps. But being able to see that at school and the different ways that I could apply it, that's what I needed to see. So maybe you're interested in websites or robotics or mobile apps or art. There's computing art these days. So just don't cross it off your list. If the first thing doesn't work out, go try a different part of it first.
Awesome. Yeah. And I like how you mentioned that in high school you were taking these classes and then more so in college, you're like, oh, let's explore the career opportunities, What is one way you think that high schools could do a better job of kind of, spreading the awareness of the different career opportunities? Because, in high school, like you said, you're taking the classes just to basically get a diploma. You're not really thinking, oh, career quite yet. Because that's what, a lot of colleges, but and I think that's a barrier in high school. You're doing it because your friends are doing it, or you're not very sure. And then once you get into college, it's like, oh, okay, this is a career opportunity. But what does leadership roles look in? How can I become a leader in this position, or even wages? That's something that you don't really think about in high school, but in college it starts to click in this industry. So how do you think that high schools and colleges could do a better job of, spreading the awareness for women?
Sure. I think the important part is pulling folks in from different roles and different backgrounds. Like I said, tech is a really big space. And, what might sound boring to one person might be really exciting to another. And so, I think it's easy to bring people in that are the direct line from the degree to the job. And that's not to knock software engineers. I was one for a long time and I liked it.
Yeah.
But now I work as an engineering manager. I had never considered that in high school. I didn't know what that job looked like. I didn't know what site reliability engineering was. I didn't know that was something I would really enjoy. And in fact, I had friends a couple of years above me kept telling me, Steph, you would really like SRE. And I kept saying, I don't see myself in the role. And it wasn't until I did a program at Google that let me go just try it out that I was like, oh, all those people were really right. I really liked it. And so they got there, I told you so. But, it took me trying it. So I'd really encourage, schools to bring in as many different people and in different specialties as possible because, tech doesn't stop growing and it doesn't stop changing. There's always going to be something else. So, branch out. I work with engineering managers and user experience designers and technical program managers. There's so many different roles, within tech. And as a student, probably didn't know about half of it. So, there are lots of ways to contribute and figure out which ways to best use whatever skills that you have or whatever skills you want to learn. But you need to see them first.
Right. Do you think that there are different resources or even just within the community, whether that be organizations, pop-up boot camp, did you take anything like that, or do you know of any resources that you could share?
Yeah. Well, so I guess I would have to see what's still around, but I did the Adams program, when I was a kid, and it was a lot of fun. I remember being nervous to go at first, and then it was one of the best weeks. I still remember that as an adult. I used to work with a program in Cleveland that's now spreading wider called TechCore, and I really recommend that. They do such a great job, getting kids hands-on and letting them tinker around and helping them, connect with actual tech jobs later. They're one of my favorite groups. And, there's a lot of stuff that you can just do online from home too. So Treehouse is normally what I recommend to people starting out because, again, they'll teach you, but it's a lot of project-based work. So you get to see something useful that you're building in front of you as you go, and they'll walk you through it.
Right.
And those are the kind of things, like I said, build something that you're going to actually want to play with or that's going to be meaningful to you. There are a lot of great communities and resources out there.
Awesome. So I know that you mentioned that you were kind of nervous going to one of those boot camps. Is that because, I'm just interested to learn why, is it because you were one of the only women in the industry? As we know, tech is, and it's grown tremendously now, seeing more women in the tech industry. But there is still less of us.
Yeah.
So what is it like, especially working for such a large company? What's it like being a woman working in,
Yeah, I'll say no matter where you are, I think the most important part is to find your community. So it is a big company, and it's actually one of the nice trade-offs from that is I've gotten to meet women all over the world, and we actually have a group chat. So there's always somebody on because somebody is awake in the world.
Right.
And I really lean on them when I need it, and they've been mentors and they've given me advice, and we're also just like friends. Like we'll share photos of our dogs and kids and
giving a background of how you got this position,
the cake we baked over the weekend and things like that. And it's just nice to have that community too. And so if you're ever in one of those spaces where you're intimidated because of the makeup of the group, and you might feel like you're being othered or an outsider, find your group.
Right.
Those people are definitely out there. And I also am friends with a lot of dudes now.
Yeah.
And that's just part of it too. So those women's spaces, they're very important to me. But I've met a lot of good friends along the way. And in fact, if you look at our wedding photos when I got married, it's a lot more dudes there than women, but they're my dudes. So
right. No,
I encourage you to explore both. But the women communities are invaluable, and they're the ones I definitely cherish the most.
Awesome. Do you have any advice for any women, I guess, say, walking into that conference room and you might be either the first or one of the very few? Any advice? In previous interviews, we talked about confidence, whether you fake it till you make it or just like try, just walk in with confidence, have your shoulders held high, and just kind of be ready to have those conversations. You never know what you're going to learn being in that, working at PS, talking with these developers, on our breaks and stuff. I'm learning all kinds of stuff. I'm getting to learn how to play chess, which I've never learned how to do. So it's just like, it's cool. And I don't think women should be scared. I know it's super scary at first, but is there any advice, that first time walking through the doors?
I would say everything gets less scary the more times you do it.
Yeah.
And I think my advice would be, like, if you're scared, okay, go do it anyway, and it's going to be fine. And you'll look back someday and laugh and smile about it. But I tell this one story where there was a very high level engineer that I worked with when I had just started Google that I was afraid of him and he intimidated me. He's one of the friendliest people ever now, and like I consider him one of my friends, and I think it's ridiculous I was scared of him back then, and so does he. I've since told him that.
Yeah.
But the more that you do it, the less scary it'll get. And just remember, like, stuff. That's why you're there. That's why you have those skills. And anything that you don't know is learnable, and it's all figure outable. And you just got to take it one day at a time. But being coachable, taking feedback, that'll all make it less scary over time.
Awesome. What would you say has been the most fulfilling part of your career now? I know you kind of mentioned that, you get to be a movement piece of all this huge platform and, making things easier for users. But today, is there something that you look back on and you're like, wow, I did that, or I'm so glad that I'm here because of?
Oh, it's hard to say. I mean, you get to do a lot of cool things in tech. So I worked at a startup in college, Explorus, that worked on medical data, and that was always really satisfying to watch that grow and see, how many people we helped. But I would say, day to day, especially at a company like Google, and now as an engineering manager, it's so fun watching my teams succeed. We got through a really big launch on short notice this past summer, and everything went way better than we could have imagined. And all that work at the end, and we just took a deep breath and everything worked. It was super cool. So a lot of my job now is helping other people succeed too. But when they succeed, I succeed, and it's really fun working as a team. And that's definitely the most satisfying part of my job.
All right, one last question for you, because I don't want to take up too much of your time. I know you're super busy. How do you think that we can get more girls interested in?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for schools is a lot of what I've mentioned already. Give them their own spaces. Often women and girls have been socialized a little bit differently, because of gender constructs or society expectations. Give them their own space, and they can still mix in with the boys, like I said, I did. But those spaces that felt safest to me to go explore and try new things and take those risks and fail and learn, they came from the women in tech spaces. So making sure that they're getting those opportunities and, to spend time together and to get to know each other. That was the biggest thing coming to Google, getting connected into those groups and those networks, I think was the biggest part of setting me up for long-term success. So don't ignore, the social part of it and creating those spaces, but don't limit them to that either.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. This has been great advice. I know that I have more confidence now. I'm like, oh, let me, walk into a room and, like you said, being coachable and just eager to learn more. I think that's important, especially with tech, how it's every day is new and with the advancements and all of that. Really quick, I did want to mention that your background is not your typical team's background. If you wanted just to explain where you're at right now.
Sure. I am at the Google Seattle office, and we have a bunch of different lounges and spaces around in addition to our desks. So one of the unique things about the Seattle office is this is actually our jellyfish tank. So those are all real. We have jellyfish that are lit up, and if you ever just need a break or a quiet space to do an interview, you can come here. We have big comfy chairs behind me, and you can just work while you watch the jellyfish. So It's one of my favorite parts of the Seattle office.
Yeah, no, that would be super cool, just to have that creative flow and to be able to, pick up and move across your office, different spots, and I'm sure a lot of innovation happens in that office.
So I love it. We're very spoiled here, and I'm glad to be back in the office. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Steph. Again, I know you're a busy woman, so I appreciate your time, and I can't wait to get this out to some of the surrounding high schoolers. Is there anything that we missed? Any last you want to leave on? Anything you think we got it covered?
I think we covered everything, but I'll just say, keep trying things. And if the first thing doesn't work out, that's pretty normal. If the seventh thing doesn't work out, also pretty normal. But keep exploring. The world is big, and there's so much that you can go do. So you should go find out what all options are available.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I will let you get back to it. Our Women in Tech series should be launching for National Computer Science Week on December 6th through the 12th. So stay tuned for that.
Thank you.
Thanks.